All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Once again, it's your favorite time of the week. It's not really your favorite time of the week, but it's Thursday at 7 p.m. when this is coming out. It's actually Monday at 5:30 p.m. with us right now. And I am ecstatic for my guest on Keeping It Rio this evening. He is one of the most well-respected men in the industry, one of the most successful, and one of the most highly regarded visionary at VPA Public Claims Adjusting, the chairman at United Claims Professionals, overall good guy, an Indiana Hoosier. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Jack Hanks to the show. Jack, welcome to the show, my friend. How's it going?
Thank you, Chuck. Those are awfully kind words, and I appreciate that. And we work hard every day to keep those words true. It's a thing for us. So, and
Yep.
my Hoosiers are playing Friday night against Notre Dame, and I grew up a Notre Dame fan. I went to IU, so I have a very tumultuous Friday night plan. So I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. So
it's a conflicting thing here. I'm a Buckeye. You can see Brutus back here in the
right.
background.
Yeah,
We're playing on Saturday, and I personally have no animosity towards Notre Dame nor Indiana. I've always kind of liked Indiana. They always play us hard, but they never seem to get over the hump with the Buckeyes, which I had to throw that out there early in the episode.
I got that.
Marcus Freeman, former Buckeye great. So I guess I would probably have to say I'd go with the Irish in this case, but I'll be happy either way, quite frankly. It's good to see the Indiana Hoosiers in the playoffs, and it's great to have you on the show. So
thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Let's kick it off a little bit. You're the first public adjuster I've had on Keeping It Rio. I've done this for 3.5 years. We're on episode 196.
Holy moly. Well, thank you. That's cool.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a while to get somebody. And like I always say, you've got to go. If you're going to get someone new in a genre, you've got to get to the very top. And I literally just told you seconds ago, I'm interviewing Babe Ruth here today. So very much looking forward to it. Why don't you do us a favor, my friend, and tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you said, president of VPA Claims, chairman of the board for United Claims Professionals, 58 years old. I'm tired. I'm wore out today. We just try to do the right thing. I grew up in Indiana, like you said. I'm an IU Hoosier, graduated from there in 1988. Started in the restoration world for a long time. And then went on State Farm and Farmers and whoever else owed me about $5 million always. Like something's not making a lot of sense. And I switched careers, got divorced, pulled the Band-Aid off, jumped out of the plane, and created this. And I have an amazing talent around me. I have a wonderful family. I'm recently remarried, and it's my life. I tell everybody, for the first time in my life, I actually have that balance thing, or most of the time, get balancing going on. It's been a hell of a long ride. It's been fun, exhausting, exhilarating, scary. You name it, man. Been there, done that, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, but everything seems to be paying off at this time in my life, thank God. So I'm very, very fortunate and very, very blessed, and I could not be happier where things are at right now. So
that is absolutely terrific. And I'm thankful for you to be here. And it's been a rough, long day, but I'll tell you what, we're going to bring the heat and we're going to bring the energy. So I really like this. Like I said, I've never really spoken to public adjusters on the show. You and I have actually, I don't believe, ever met in person. So this is really a great opportunity for me to learn from the best. And I don't have any experience with large loss claims. So tell me a little bit about large loss claims, the type of things that you get into, and we'll just kind of spider web off of that if it's cool.
Well, the biggest thing I always caution everybody, it's all funny. This shit I do on the roofs, that's easy, right? That's the fun 4-minute. I'm on the roof. I take a video. That's about 1/10000000th of 1% of how it is. We're very fortunate. I think we have 350 large losses we're working on right now. And I caution everybody, roofing companies, restoration companies, PA firms, man, it's a long, hard, drawn out, expensive, arduous battle. And if you're not prepared for that financially, emotionally, all that stuff, they're going to wear you out, because that's how it works. We're just very fortunate. We've got a little system going, and you kind of learn. I think the biggest thing I've learned is I have as many relationships, quote unquote, on the other side as doing this side. So we've been very fortunate to be able to get things done kind of behind the scenes, and just asking questions and being good, reasonable, fair people, I think, is the key, because a lot of these guys, like you've seen, they want to bang their chest and yell and scream and kick and throw shit off the building. Well, that's not how you get claims done anymore. It was 30 years ago, right? But now it's all data, facts, presenting a case, presenting it with evidence that makes sense, and you got to thread that needle, right, where that number makes sense for your insured, for the roofing contractor, and for the insurance company as well, because they're not going to pay something they don't want to pay. I promise you that, right? It's hard enough to get them to pay anything, and then to get them to pay something that's fair and reasonable, it's a challenge, to say the least. But we've come accustomed to it. Like I said, I got really smart people around me and for me and with me that do a lot of the heavy lifting, and we became that little niche, and it's working tremendously, and I'm very proud of that. But yeah, it's hard and difficult, and it's 1,000 times harder than you think. And I do get frustrated, because what happens is, as you know, a lot of the roofing contractors and PAs especially, they go out and sign $1 million claim, and then it goes in the toilet, and then everybody's pissed. Everybody's pissed. Your roofer's pissed off. Insurance pissed off. The PA didn't do it. Like, some people aren't ready to do it, and it's a frustrating business that we're in, because everybody wants to bite that big apple right away, and it does take time and a lot of experience, and like I said, you build up those relationships on the other side. My phone is full of text messages from large loss general adjusters off the record trying to get shit done, because most of these people are fair and reasonable. They just want to get it done too. They don't want to be gouged. They don't want to be taken advantage of. They have the answer to people above them. So we're just trying to help them get those answers to get that stuff done. But then again, it's 1,000 times harder than I can ever express. So
I can only imagine. And I know quite a few people. You do quite a bit of work with my business partner over in Ohio, Jason Shumway, Bradford Exteriors. And he speaks glowingly of you. He said, Jack's the man. This is going to be a great interview. I love the way that we're going to kick this off, because it's my favorite topic. It's people that get in over their head. And I know a lot of these guys in the roofing industry. On the residential side, it's bad enough. And I tell a lot of people, one of the worst problems that we can get is a major hailstorm or a wind event in our town, because a lot of these guys that have maybe a year or two of sales experience, they've kind of seen what goes on, above water, like you say. And then they decide, well, hell, man, if you can do it, I can do it. They jump out there. And I always tell people, if you're not prepared, if you don't have the finances, if you're not in that mindset, you're going to get in big trouble very quickly. And I can only imagine how much that multiplies on the commercial side. So,
oh my God,
tell me a little bit about that. You get these guys that are doing all right in residential, and then they say, well, hey, I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to take on this whale.
Make $1 million a storm, right? Yeah. Here's the biggest problem. I'm going to speak of the PAs. I think the biggest problem in the PA industry is it's way too freaking easy to become a public adjuster. And you could literally go pass the test today and go sign a $1 million job. And next thing you know, you have $1 million in the bank. And it's not all your money, number one. So it's very difficult, and it's scary and challenging, and it's just too easy. And there should be different somehow tiers or different accesses or mentorships or apprenticeships or something like that involved, because a lot of our industry gets a really bad name because, number one, they don't know what they're doing. They screw the claim up, and then if it does get paid, the money's a mess. So it's not a great thing always. And I've been an advocate for the last couple of years of let's raise the standards on this thing. Let's raise the bar up where it's harder to become a PA. And then if you want to increase, you got to find a way to do that. I don't know, with bonding or licensing, there's got to be something we do to increase that and make it better, because right now it's just not, it doesn't work all the time. And you see on LinkedIn and Facebook, all these implosions and just bad apples and bad seeds. And, that's a very small portion of what we are, but it gets all the attitude and it gets all the press, man. It's just too bad, but that's kind of where the industry's at right now, so.
It is. And it's unfortunate. It's that way on both sides, residential and commercial. And I always tell people, at the end of the day, the people that really get the screwing in this are, the policy holders, because they put their faith in people, assuming that they know what they're doing. And there are multiple levels of experience, expertise. And, like you said, it's not as easy as it seems, when you see a guy on Facebook saying, hey, out here making it happen, getting it done. That's great. But tell me a little bit about, the experience working a large loss claim. Let's say Chuck from Rio Blanco Roofing calls you up and says, Jack, man, I'm about to become a millionaire, buddy, because I just found a shopping center down here in San Antonio. I don't have a damn clue what I'm doing, but
it's hammered.
Yeah, I need your help, though, buddy, because I don't know shit about this. What can you do to help me?
Well, first thing is we set expectations, because anymore in 2020, going to 2025, slam dunks, perfect claim. There's no such thing ever. I've got claims with 3.5-inch hail with holes in siding and stucco that we're fighting on. I've had hurricane claims on the beach that we're fighting for, right? So there's no such thing as a home run, a grand slam, a lay down. That's the first thing that's got to go away, because that's not a thing anymore, right? Insurance companies assess risk for a living, whether it's $1 or $1 million or $1 billion. They assess risk for a living. So they're by how it works, they're going to do everything they can to minimize their exposure on that risk, right? Our job is to maximize the exposure on the risk. So we got to find how that works. So first thing we do with the client, number one, is let them know, man. And if anybody tells anybody different than what I'm about to say, it's bullshit. If I can cuss on the show, right? We're good.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right. If anybody says to a client on a large loss, it's going to be less than a year, they're full of shit. By the time it's signed up, negotiated, estimated, processed, back and forth, paid, ACV, built a roof, RCV, materials, it's a year, man. And it just, I don't care what anybody says. If people lay these false expectations down and are not honest with it, like you said a couple minutes ago, only people getting hurt is the insured. Yep. They're the ones that are pissed off. They've been paying premiums forever. They have legitimate damage. The insurance company string them along. Some random ass horrible PA rolls in, makes all these false promises. The roofer, who's a Domino's pizza delivery guy on Thursday, door knocking on Saturday, luckily fell on this huge contract, and that's the industry we have, and that's the most difficult part, is setting these expectations, because you're talking on $1 million claim, man. The insurance company is going to make you jump over 1 million hoops, as they should sometimes, to get these things done. Engineers, consultants, large loss adjusters, business interruption. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it's we have a firm, everybody specializes in one thing, because you have to, otherwise you're going to get run over. So we run our company like an insurance company, but you got to have all this stuff prepared. You got to know who to call. You got to have the right engineer firm with you. You got to have all these things ready to go at a heartbeat, and roll in there and take control of the claim as quick as you can. And what usually happens is a roofer will get $1 million claim. And like you said, he's a millionaire right then and there, man. And that piece of paper signed,
buy me that new truck.
The Rolex is on the wrist. They're driving down, I-10 on the new Denali, and all. They got the photos on Facebook, and they're killing it, which God bless them. And then some wanky PA gets in there who has never done it before, and next thing you know, it's either denied or below deductible or a million different things because of that, because the insurance company will run them over. Because I promise you, these insurance companies keep tabs on you and me and Joe Blow and everybody else in the world. They know our capabilities. They know our standards. They know our submissions. They know our background. They know our financials. They know, right? So they're going to, like in any business, they're going to maximize their power on their side to minimize that. That's just how it works, man. It's claims anymore are a bazillion % business decisions. That's all they are for the insurance companies. They don't give a shit about the damage. They don't give a shit about policy. They don't give a shit about Mrs. Smith or Mr. Jones, they don't give a shit. It's what's their exposure going to be, and how can they minimize that? That's their concern. And I get it. It's business, right? Absolutely. And you got to know that going in. And that's the thing. You got to tell all these clients, man, take the emotion out of it. I'm sorry your roof is blown to shit. It's going to be a while, but we're going to get through it. And you got to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting,
Yep. And you hit the nail on the head. They know exactly who they're dealing with, and they understand, okay, we can work up to this level with this guy, and he's not going to be qualified to go beyond that to get what's actually due in this case. So tell me a little bit about how you handle these situations. You get the call, you go out, you assess the property. What does the process look like from the beginning stages? And then, as we roll into some of these battles that are unfortunate, but very necessary, like you say, what's that look like?
So the first thing we do, and a lot of firms don't, and it baffles me, is we get the policy, okay, and we
Imagine
read the
that.
policy. Yeah, and I get, man, Facebook is great, and it's also horrible at the same time. I get so baffled by mostly PAs. They'll post something, and I'm like, "Did you read the policy?" And I'm like, "No." How the hell do you know what the claim is about if you don't have the policy? That's the contract the insured has with the insurance company. That's it. That's the only thing that freaking matters. My anything me you it doesn't matter, dude. It's about this contract that the insured has, right? So the first thing we do, we read that policy. The second thing I do is I'll pull a weather report. Because no offense, Chuck, I don't trust anybody that says, here's my video from my phone. Well, that's all great, but let's verify that shit, right? Because we got to make
Absolutely.
sure that policy is in effect for that storm date. And thirdly, let's make sure the damages are real. It's not some half-inch mushy hail that blew over the building in 36 seconds. I want to make sure the thing is legitimate. Because keep in mind, if I'm going to spend a year of my time and our company's time for a client on their behalf, we only get paid when the insured gets paid, right? So we're fronting tens of, not hundreds of thousands of dollars on a claim, which is fine, by the way. However, I got to be right a lot more than I'm wrong in business, right? And we do that. We're diligent about it, and I think that's why we've been successful the last few years, is because I bet we turn down a third of the claims that come in the door. Just because it's not real, the policy is ACV only, or it has a huge exclusion. We can fight exclusions if it's tangible and real, but they're getting bulletproof now, man. They're getting, especially in Texas, bro. They're getting tough. Is it a 5% deductible? So you have a $300,000 deductible on a $350,000 roof. I can't help that. There's nothing I can do, man. You need to go give them a cash bid then, right? That's your job. There's nothing we can do. So there's a million factors up front that you really have to dig into. And we have philosophy. We'd rather spend $5,000 up front and turn it away than take it and spend 50 grand on a wing and a prayer. Because those rings and prayers never work out that well. I've learned the hard way, and I'm sure you have too, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's
In 26 years, I've seen a lot of that stuff, and I've worked with a lot of contractors in my career, and it's crazy. Like you say, you just get the dollar signs, you get the stars in your eyes, and you think, okay, let's do this. And a lot of times the expectations are set very improperly on the property owners from the contractors, then the PAs that come in that really don't know the entire story, which again, I think that's crazy. As a contractor, I tell my homeowners, I'm not allowed to look at that. I'm not allowed to discuss it. I'm not allowed to do any of that stuff. No. But I advise you to do that before you even pursue this in any way, because like you say, nothing worse than a huge surprise when,
oh God,
hey, guess what? You're gonna have to pay $250,000 out of pocket for this.
Yeah, no matter what,
nothing we can do. What.
Yeah, period. So, and then surprises aren't great. It's just nobody likes it in business. No, and we have a duty to the insured as well. As I've learned the hard way. No, and bad news is okay. Because I need to give them the opportunity to make their best decisions. Do they need to go get a loan? Can they do a recoat? Can they do another year to get by? Can you, whatever, I mean, I need to give them the information so they can make a good decision on their end, because us withholding it or not giving them the whole picture, that's not helping anybody, man. And, when you're younger, man, you try to like shoot from the hip a lot more. You know how it is. And it always blows up in your face, and it's just not healthy. And I want to be able to sleep at night, and I'd rather turn a job down that doesn't make any sense and be able to go to bed and wake up the next day. Because, I have learned too, there's always another one. There's always the next one. There's always another hailstorm in San Antonio, bro. There's always another one, right?
I'm ready for it. Let's bring it on.
Right?
Any day now.
I love San Antonio, by the way. It's one of my favorite cities. So it's beautiful.
San Antonio is great. The roofing market's a little slow at the moment, but it is terrific down here. And I've been here 6 years, or almost 6 years, and it's been a great place for me. I've really enjoyed it. I've seen the residential side of the nightmares that we're talking about on a larger scale. And I always tell the homeowners, you've got to know who you're working with. You've got to know that they've got their stuff together. So let's just hypothetically assume that I call you up and I say, hey, Jack, man, I just told this building owner that, this is a slam dunk. He's got this. There's undeniable damage on this. Let's, help me get this thing paid. We need to get it paid quick because I got a $3,000 car payment on this new Lambo that I just bought. And, you know, you come onto the scene and you realize, hey, man, this isn't going to work. Tell me a little bit about some of those mistakes that contractors make when they get a little overzealous. They're a little too enthusiastic about what they see in front of them, and those dollar signs start popping up. What are some of the biggest mistakes that guys can make on this side that can end up really screwing the entire deal up?
Well, I mean, like I said, every roof in the whole world doesn't have hail or wind damage. It just doesn't. It's not a thing. Like, insurance companies now are way too sophisticated to have shit thrown against the wall to pay it. 30 years ago, you know, we got away with a little bit more. I'm not going to kid you. A little more gray, and there was no, you know, hail traces or weather reports or CoreLogics or all that fun stuff. There were no metal exclusions or whatever, you know, so we got away with a little bit. And the laws are getting worse every year as well. So, you know, surprises are horrible. And then hope, you know, Logan Graff, my good friend at Apple Roofing, man, he comes to our class, he teaches. His big thing is hope is not a business model. And it's wonderful advice, man, because it's really not. You got to be very, very confident that this thing is going to be real, right? And I can tell you from experience, 99.9% of the time, if it's a real claim, we'll get you home one way or another. We'll get you there through appraisal, through attorneys, through whatever. We'll get you. We'll find a path, right? But you know, if it's wonky damage, or if it's there's a hailstorm a year before they didn't do anything on, or worst time, we've had the worst claim of my life. I remember it was in Dallas. Had a huge metal building, man, Liberty Mutual. Banged with hail, beat the shit with hail. I'm like, oh my God, here we go, right? I'm going to buy the fucking Lambo. This thing is great, right? We're out there doing it. And Liberty Mutual's out there like, yep, legit. Estimates going back and forth, 3.1, 2.8. Argo and O&P, we're down to like nitty gritty shit, right? Next thing you know, my phone, I'll never forget this, my phone rings. It must have been like a Thursday afternoon. And it's the adjuster. I'm thinking, I'm getting a fucking tracking number for the check. Here we go.
All right.
He goes, Jack. Yeah, I'm like, yo, man, I'm going to buy a car. And he goes, did the owner tell you 3 years ago he had a wind claim? I'm like, he didn't. He goes, Jack, he didn't replace the roof. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what the? Do get a check for 2 point whatever, pocket it, didn't do the roof. I call the insurer, and he goes, yeah. I go, what happened? He goes, yeah, I had a claim. I go, did you do the roof? He goes, no. He goes, but Jack, that was hail, or that was wind. This is a hail claim. I'm like, bro, it doesn't work that way. You are self-insured right now. So I put probably, I don't know, 20 grand out of our pocket and hundreds of hours of our time because we didn't ask enough questions. Did you have a previous claim, right? Did you do the work if you had the previous claim? Because and people, what they need to understand too, and contractors and PAs, the insurance company is going to find out eventually. They're not going to write that check until that thing is signed, sealed, and delivered. And that was, you know, probably 8 years ago. And we've learned since then. You got to even ask more. Never satisfied until you get all the answers that you really have to have, because stuff like that is detrimental, and it will kill you, and it rips your soul out. I'm not going to kid you. So yeah, asking all the questions and then keep asking them. And then one thing I can, you know, that little gut feeling you get when they're like, man, something.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time.
Shit, yeah, right. And what always happens? It always ends up in the toilet because something's wrong. So if you try to make the deal work when it's not really a deal, or something doesn't feel right to you, or it's not really hail but it might be hail, don't do it, man. Because 9 times out of 10, that's going to go in the toilet, and you're going to spend all that time and energy doing stuff for a claim that's not real when you could go out and get 4 or 5 more. I mean, there's always another job. There's always another hailstorm. There's always another wind. It's going to happen, especially in your state. It's going to happen. So just be overly cautious and overly conservative in the beginning, even more so. And then the older I get, the more I can acknowledge that, because, you know, back in the day, I'm like, let's go, you know, and I like to put money in the bank too much anymore to realize to do stuff like that. So
I heard that. So
yeah.
We talk about the experience level and taking your lumps and your nut shots over the course of the years and finding out, you know, hey, this isn't going to work out the way that I anticipated. But we also talk about these younger guys, the inexperienced people that are getting into the industry. And it's inevitable that these mistakes are going to continue to be made because of that. So one thing I really appreciate about you is you are a proactive person in our industry for helping people to overcome these inadequacies that they've got, the inexperience, and are willing to provide education to just about anybody that's trying to do it for the right way. So tell me a little bit about that aspect of what you do, how you help other people who may not be, well, obviously you're Babe Ruth, so nobody's going to be up on that level. How do you get these guys that are down here in the minor leagues up to that level where they're competent, where they can go in and less of these screw ups start happening?
So when I started, I passed my tests, got my fingerprints, paid my $50 bond, got a license, and went out just not having any. I thought if I could write Xactimate, I would be a great PA. Well, I haven't opened Xactimate in going on 8 years now because I have people doing that for me now. So so I have a theory that the insurance companies are never, ever, ever going to respect us one bit until we get our shit together as an industry. The lying and the cheating and the bullshit and the shitty claims and throwing crap against the wall and stealing Mrs. Smith's money when she gets the insurance check and turning in shitty claims and try to make up damages not really there until we get our act cleaned up. And I think it's getting better. Don't get me wrong. I think it's better now than it was 5 years ago. They're going to keep us as a running joke. The laws are going to get worse. The statutes are going to get worse. The policy is going to get worse because they can do whatever the hell they want. They allow us to play in their sandbox until they don't want us to play in the sandbox anymore. Look what happened in Florida last year. All the laws went out the window. They got tired of our shit. Like, you know what? We're done playing. It's over with. See you later. Bye. And it's coming to Texas and it's coming everywhere else. We don't keep our shit together. So the train, nobody, I know Cal Spoon started it. Matt Mulholland does a great job. We train. There's a couple. I do get frustrated because some of the newer guys are trying to train. I'm like, guys, can you just don't steal our shit and retrain what we're giving you? Like, just learn to give us some
understand it
credibility
first before you go out and become the next fake guru.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing, and it's what's that saying? Those who can't teach or some shit like that or whatever. I mean,
those who can't do teach. That's the deal. Yes,
and it's hard, man. And being a public adjuster, it's not just. Like I said, go out and get an Xactimate and measuring a roof and putting some random ass estimate together. That's literally 1/10 of it or 1/20 of it. It's a big chess game. You gotta know how to, number one, these policies are so convoluted, especially on the commercial side. You gotta learn how to take those words and make it into something, right? So, we try to teach everything on this. We try to teach how to run a business. Because what happens, as you know, in the roofing industry especially, you're delivering pizzas one day, you're a roofing salesman the next day, and then all of a sudden, screw it, I can make a lot of money doing it myself. And you're in business, man. You are a roofing contractor. You're a public adjuster, and dude, there's so much more to it. Running a business, any business, especially what we do, it's extremely difficult. And nobody talks about that, man. You got to have bonds and licensing and D&O statements and all these things, and it's I've an accountant we pay a lot of money who's in our office every day because we need to keep control over that. But we try to teach all that stuff at our nonprofit, and some people. It's amazing to me. People pay us money to train them. We give them all the tools, and they don't use it. And I don't get it. If you pay me $7,500, bro, well, we can't be more passionate about it than you can. If you pay us, I want you to there's a reason why we're telling you all this stuff because I already lost my ass doing it the other way, right? I've already fucked all that stuff. I already killed 1,000 claims I should have got paid on because I screwed these things up. So, learning and listening, and I talked to Cal, I talked to Matt, I talked to all these other guys that train. I listen to what they're saying. I don't agree with everything and I'm sure they don't agree with me, but at least I've sent all my guys to Steve Patrick's class. I've sent my guys to Matt's class. I want them, because I don't have all the answers. I want them to learn all these different perspectives and then see what works for them, because my style and your style to get a claim handled may be completely different, but long as the result's positive for the insured, that's okay, right? As long as it's above board, honest, and fair. It's just some of the stuff out there is not always accurate on Facebook, and it frustrates the living hell out of me. Facebook is not a good training ground. It's too easy to some of the stuff I see posted by supposedly reputable individuals. I want to call through Facebook and smash their computer because it's so egregiously wrong. Okay, and it's frustrating. So we teach what we do. Once again, it works for us. I don't know it's going to work for everybody, but it does work if you listen and you take what we give you and mold it to yourself. That's what it's all about. And then the next generation, man, I want our kids and the kids that work for us to take this thing to another level. It, Being a public adjuster is such a noble, cool profession, man. I mean, we travel the country. We meet a lot of great people. We're on a lot of cool podcasts. We do a lot of great trade shows. We eat a lot of steak. We drink a lot of good wine. We set a lot of large losses, right? And the cool parts of that, you make a lot of damn money doing it the right way, right? And not many people do it the right way. And we just try to promote the goodwill of the industry overall. And it's important, man. It really is because, like I said, in 20 years, if we don't get our shit together, PAs aren't going to be around, bro. They're not. They're not. And I firmly believe that because look at there's already states that don't allow public adjusting. There's states with fee caps. There's all these things that are coming and running us over like a bulldozer. And we're just like, you know what? We're okay today. Well, today we are, but tomorrow we won't be if we keep this bullshit up, right? So training every little nuance of what our industry offers is so important. And we do it as much as we can. I like to do it more, but quite honestly, it exhausts us and it takes time away from our business and we don't make any money doing it. But at the same time, we try to give back as much as we can. I think we've trained 350 PAs across the country the last 4 years, and I'm really damn proud of that. So
that's
really am.
awesome. And that
Yeah.
elevates the industry. And like you said, it legitimizes us, which is definitely something that we need across the board. Because I tell folks this all the time, 95% of our industry are great people that have good hearts, that mean well, that really have the best of intentions. They may not have the best of the educational aspect of it, and they screw stuff up, but it's never intentional. But that damn 5%, like you say,
Oh my God.
I had a guy on here the other day, a roofer from South Carolina, and he was talking about how a company went in and basically stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from homeowners and then shut the doors. And it leaves the homeowners there with nothing, they don't know what to do. And they don't have that warm feeling about, oh, great, you're going to help me. They think everybody's going to screw them. It's like a dog that's been hit. And then they're like, well, shit, I don't trust any of you guys. And we have to dig ourselves out of that. And it's such a small, percentage, but that's what gets all the attention. Nobody really focuses on the good stories. They always, the news wouldn't be that great if it was just all happy stuff. They wouldn't get very good ratings and people wouldn't be scared and they wouldn't have those biases. But to me, I think it's awesome that you do take the time to put the effort in to do your part to elevate this industry. And quite honestly, that, my friend, is why you were the public adjuster of the year, because you're doing this for the right reasons. You're doing it to help people. And I love that. I want to ask you this is a happy question. We talked about the worst situation, the dumbass guy that has the $2 million check and he doesn't do anything and he calls you back 2 years later. You put all the work in, you get gutted. Tell me about the absolute biggest win that you've had in your career.
Oh boy. Oh my God.
There's probably a lot of them at this stage. I know that
I mean,
you put up some numbers.
I sometimes baffle ourselves. I mean, I got a couple of funny stories. I mean, the best heartwarming story I think we've ever done is we had a church collapse in Phoenix about 5-6 years ago, and I literally got a call. We went over there, and the church, dude, it's on the ground. It's literally a big mound of debris, beams, and rubble. And thank God it was the middle of the night. Nobody's around. Nobody got hurt because that would have killed literally everybody in there. It looked like a bomb hit it. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? It was CNA Insurance, and to their credit, they're like, we don't fucking know what happened. And they hired a bazillion people. We hired a bazillion people, and we got the policy, read the policy, we dug through it, and we found one beam that was chewed through with termites, and it was the main center beam. I'm not an engineer, but that thing held everything together. And we found the beam, and we found it was decimated by termites, and it snapped, and that thing collapsed.
Wow.
Within the policy, if it was hidden damage by termites or whatever, there's coverage for that. But they had to maintain the treatments and shit like that. So thank God this church, 1 in a million shot, kept records of their yearly inspection by the termite company. The termite company missed it, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, CNA's like, you're right, here's your check. And they got paid 1.3, 1.4. And I drive by that church when I'm in Phoenix, and it's there and it's thriving. It took over a year to get that thing done. And I'm most proud of that because that just took forever to figure that thing out. And they were frustrated and scared because they lost everything, man. Everything was gone. It was just every organ, every Bible, every plate is just gone. So yeah, that was the thing. It's not our biggest one by far, but it was just the coolest one because we found one little thing in the policy with one little beam that was gnawed up, and that thing, their engineers and our engineers came to the same conclusion, thank God. And that's how it started. They paid it. So it was really cool to watch all that. So yeah.
That's awesome. And that's one of those things that if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're never going to find that. And you're going to basically say, well, geez, the church just fell down. I guess you guys are screwed. And that's
Pretty
where,
much.
you get to see the look on the face of the people there in the church. You get to know, hey, this was a catastrophic deal. It was the most random, crazy set of circumstances, but we got it done and we took care of it. And we came to an agreement with the insurance company, back and forth negotiations. And at the end of the day, everybody ended up winning. And I think really that's the definition of a huge win. So congratulations on that, because that's a pretty cool story.
Thanks.
We were talking also just a second ago about some of the changes that are coming up with laws, with exclusions, with new deductible rules, with all these things. Talk a little bit about some of the things that have evolved over the last couple of years that have kind of made this industry a little bit less, like you say, a relational deal where the adjuster by name and it's like, hey, Jack, what's up? Oh, hey, Tony. And you guys meet up there and you just take care of it because that's the way that it was. Things have gotten a lot tighter. What are some of the things that you've seen on your side that have really changed and evolved or devolved, as it may be, depending on which side you're on, over the last few years?
Well, the biggest thing is, and you've seen it too on these commercial claims, Texas. It's there's percentage deductibles now. So a lot of these, we had one in Sherman, Texas last week. Beautiful claim, $190,000 claim. We couldn't take it because they had $185,000. They had $185,000 deductible. So basically, these commercial policies and residential ones now too, at a percentage, if you have $1 million home and you have a 5% deductible, and the roof's $120,000, you're probably not ever going to have a claim on that roof. So these deductibles are getting more expensive. They're getting higher. And a lot of people, you might as well think of it, you're basically self-insuring your roof at that point. You don't even have coverage for your roof. You don't even, why even turn a claim in? Because the ACV checks will be less than your deductible. It's just, and then you're going to get higher rate. It's going to snowball. So that's a big problem. Deductibles are, exclusions are rampant. Metal exclusions, unless your roof has a hole in it on the metal, they're not going to pay it right up front. You got to fight that battle. That's coming hard and heavy. Roof schedule roof payments. If your roof's 10 years old, they're going to depreciate it. It's already a number. It's already all set up, man. Allstate has these policies coming out, and they're already everywhere. That there's a roof schedule, and that's how it is. And you get 6% if you've been in your house for 5 years. You get 40% for whatever. It's decreasing. So once again, these insureds are basically self-insuring their roofs, right? And here's the reason for that is because how many roofers in Texas now? 8 billion?
I think 8 billion and 13 as of this morning. Yes.
And they're all door knocking and they're all creating claims, and insurance companies like, we're just done. So we're going to make it so you guys can door knock all you want. But a lot of these people don't have coverage, so go pound sand. And Florida recently, after that hurricane 2 years ago, that legislature went in and said, F you, we are done with this. Attorney fees are out the window. So Florida was one of the last states that, there's a few more left, but Florida was the most prevalent. They had basically, if you have a $100,000 claim and you can't get it solved, and we bring an attorney in, the attorney would, if they won the case, the insured gets $100,000, and the law firm would get attorney fees above and beyond that. So the insured's made whole. They get the $100,000, and the attorney would get their 30 or 40% above and beyond, and the insurance company have to pay the $100,000, and they have to pay the $30,000 to the plaintiff attorney. Well, guess what? Insurance company like, you know what? We're done with this shit. We're not doing that anymore either. And they got the laws changed. They went to DeSantis. He sold out because he wanted to run for president. He got a check and he went in the legislature and they changed these laws. So those, I mean, there's no attorney fees anymore. So most 40 some states, if you have a lawsuit and you win your lawsuit, and it's 100 grand, you're only going to get about 50 grand of that because time you pay me and pay that attorney, half that money's gone. It's still better than having zero, right? But you're not going to be able to do all the work because you're only getting half that number. And so those things are coming hot and heavy, and it's a freight train. And once again, it's not going to stop until they're done fucking with us. And we keep doing dumb shit as industry. It's going to get worse and worse. Every 5 years it's getting worse, right?
Yep.
And my job's getting harder, and your job's getting harder because they're done. And until we prove ourselves that we can play nice and be fair and reasonable, which, like you said, 95% of us are, but those 5% aren't. That's what's getting our hands slapped right now, and it's going to take a long time to get that tide shifted back around. I think it's coming slowly but surely. Florida has some stuff they're looking at again because they got their asses kicked in. But it's going to take a while to get back. So we don't make the rules, boys and girls. We just play by them, unfortunately.
That's it. And it's a moving target. And it's like you say, it's ever evolving. It's always changing. And I think the biggest misconception for these property owners is, just like with a residential claim. Well, I've been paying my premiums, it's good. Everything's going to be all right. I've literally seen people lose their homes based on being able to get the payouts, not having the right coverages for their properties. And I can only imagine, multiply that by 1,000 on a commercial building. What would be your advice to someone that's getting into commercial real estate and they're buying a nice big strip mall? And it's like, hey, man, I bought the strip mall. I know guys in apartment complexes are notoriously cheap and are always looking for the absolute lowest bottom end number. If we can dig down underneath the ground and find something cheaper, we'll do it. What kind of advice do you give to someone that's getting into that? Or someone that's established that may just have that mindset and hasn't got screwed yet? What should they be doing? What should they be asking for? What should they be paying for in their policy to get the coverages that they have necessary to actually be brought back to pre-loss condition in a catastrophic situation?
Well, here's the thing. We're all the same, right? When I have my house, I'm like, hey, man, give me the cheapest shit I can get my hands on, right? Because I'm never going to have a claim until I have a claim. So the cool part about insurance is it's relatively inexpensive most of the time, right? It is. It's a protection. You're spreading that risk out among 1,000 other people. It is cheap, supposedly. It's getting more expensive every day, but it's all about spreading that risk around. So what I always, the lowest number you get from Joe Blow State Farm guy is probably not your best policy. You pay for what you get a lot of times, and if you can buy. And what I would tell Mike, we have a lot of commercial clients, and they have these huge deductibles. But there's policies now that you can buy to cover your deductible. So instead of having a $300,000 policy, you can buy a deductible policy to cover your deductible as well. So maybe you're out of pocket $2,000. So something catastrophic does come in, and your roof gets tore off. Instead of a 5% deductible, you're not paying $250,000. You're paying $5,000, right? And that's becoming more prevalent. And I think a lot of companies, if I own an insurance company now, I would jump into that ball game because I think that's the next wave. And every commercial client should have something like that to cover their ass. And then you buy the best policy, get your hands on. Don't buy any exclusions. Get rid of all that shit. Buy the premium platinum A1 best coverage you get your hands on, and then buy another policy to cover that deductible. And then when something does happen, God forbid it never does, but when it does, you're not ruined. You don't lose your building. You don't get divorced. You don't lose tenants. You're not in your building for 11 months with no business income. You have all these safety nets built around you because I've seen too many people. I've seen families divorced. I've seen it's so stressful, bro. And people don't get it. I mean, people, man, they really think the insurance company, they watch Aaron Rodgers and they watch Chris Paul and they watch Mahomes, and oh my God, yeah. Well, guess what? They give a shit. They don't give a shit. It's bottom line.
Guess where the money came from to pay for those guys, folks.
Exactly.
Guess where the money came from.
Smith. Damn right.
That's what I always tell my homeowners. If you see them on TV, they're probably not looking out for your best interest. If they're sponsoring the Super Bowl and have arenas named after them, you might not want to go that route because there's a lot of extra money, and that extra money has to come from somewhere. And it's usually from someone's grandma or some independent building owner who doesn't get taken care of appropriately. And I think, you know, a lack of knowledge on the building owners is one thing, but the mindset of, hey, I'm just, this is just a cash cow for me, and I'm just going to make money. When the roof gets destroyed, I'm just going to piecemeal it back together, throw some gum up there, maybe a couple Band-Aids, and we're good to go. And I know of a very specific, when I say that, I can think of one very specific guy that I know in College Station, Texas, who was that, you know, and it was like, I'm not going to pay the money. I don't have the money. And it's like, bro, you have the money. You just don't want to invest the money in the correct channel here. And you got hit with the hailstorm, and same deal. He had already filed a claim a couple years earlier, pocketed the cash, done a couple repairs on the building, went back to try to get the money when it was really total. And then he was pissed because, you know, I'm a victim.
The well's dry.
And it's sad to see that, but that's human nature. I think it's cool that we've got the ability to advise people and say, look, it's in your best interest. Sure, it's going to cost you a little bit on the front end, but I'd rather spend a couple of grand than $1 million. And
dude, the worst story I've ever had is we do a lot of hurricane work, and the hurricane came into Lake Charles. What was that, 5 years ago? What was that, 4 or 5 years ago? And we had one owner. He goes, hey, I got 10 hotels. I want you to handle them all. Here's the policy for 9 of them. I just renewed the other one with my cousin, who's a broker. I don't have the policy yet, but I want you to handle that one too. I'm like, all right, great. Get them all signed up. 9 of them. Boom, boom, boom. Coverage. Bam, bam, bam. The other one, the broker's being weird. I can't get the policy. There's something going on. It's his
can't deal with your cousins, man.
He's his cousin. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I, you know, me being a nice guy, I'm thinking, okay, cool. He needed a roof tarp. I sent a company I know very well who did the other 9 claims. Like, hey, I need you to go loose lay this big ass Motel 6. Okay. No problem. They did it. You know, they spent 50, 60 grand. Finally get the policy. Guess what? No wind, no hurricane coverage whatsoever. The dude's cousin in Louisiana, the heart belt of hurricanes, gave him a shitty, well, he didn't give it to him. The guy took a shitty policy with no coverage. Other 9 buildings up and running, got them done, That one, bankrupt, and they lost it. This thing was small. It was $3 million worth of cover, $3 million worth of damage. They got no money. The franchise, everybody was like, screw you, we're done. They lost that building. And, you know, they were pissed at me. They were pissed at their cousin. And I'm like, you got to sue. There's nothing I can, you have no coverage. Like, Jesus Christ himself was, if it's a PA, can't get you covered because there's nothing here to play with. It was a nightmare. And, you know, we did great 9 out of 10 times, but that one, man, it just goes to show you, man, saving a nickel eventually will kill you, and you just can't do it. But it's human nature, like you said. We all want the best deal we can. Well, the best deal is the most fair deal, not the cheapest deal. And that's where people fail, right?
Amen. So, and I can only imagine Thanksgiving dinner at that family. You know, I'm sure the cousin's the most popular guy there, and I'm sure everybody loves him. But what a heartbreaking tale. And, you know, again, at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to the property owners to do what's right for themselves. And, well, that's you know, you'd think you'd trust your cousin, but that's the
buyer
key.
Beware. We hear it all the time. Like, I didn't know. Well, guess what? You should read your damn policy. I know it's hard, and it's like stale bread. It's horrible. But with ChatGPT now and everything else, there's no reason you can't dump that thing and get at least specifics of what's going on. You know, it's just, it's very frustrating. It is a legal binding document that you purchased. You wrote that check. You knew what you're getting into, and you got to own that. And, you know, these agents and brokers aren't as educated as they need to be. I give them that, but at the end of the day, they're salespeople. Come on, right?
That's it. If you can sell a 3-tab and you can't sell the architectural, you're gonna throw the 3-tab out there every time and be the cheapest guy. And it's a problem across the board with not just our industry, but everything in the world. And you know, you see that happen more often than you'd like to, and it's really shitty. But it is what it is.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. No problem. Yeah. No problem. Everything's going to be fine. It's got a taillight warranty on it, and Unfortunately, when you pull out, the taillight fell off, so there's no more warranty.
Exactly. That's an inclusion. Sorry, Mr. Hanks. Right?
Man, that's some gold right there, and I appreciate that wisdom because you don't think about it on the larger scale. So what happens to what happens to the guy who is conscious of everything and is getting the premium stuff, making sure that he's taken care of, but then, like we said, it's not a lay down. It's not an easy situation. It's not like, well, you're a great paying customer, so we're going to go ahead and take care of you. What happens to that guy when he gets into the heat of the battle and starts having to deal with some of this stuff? Have you had any backlash that comes back on you, on your firm, as like, well, hey, man, I'm paying for the best thing. Why can't you get this handled for me? The owners actively get involved in that process to see the shit that you have to deal with.
So, yes, here's the thing, man. It's a raw deal sometimes. I'm not going to kid you. We've had blatant denials where I would swear at my father's grave, this is what really happened. And they're wrong and they're egregiously wrong. And we have to bring an attorney in and we have to sue them and all this stuff. And we try to, like I said at the beginning, lay those expectations out in front. But people just want their shit done. They want to be treated fair, get their money moved down the road. And that doesn't always happen all the time. So it is hard, difficult decisions to have sometimes. Like, hey, man, and one thing we do is we use Claim Wizard, and we track every text, phone call, email, letter through this stuff. So, we do get calls. Hey, man, I hired you guys 6 months ago. You haven't done shit. I don't have a check. Da 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 da. So what we do, I have someone from our office do a video clip of all the Claim Wizard. And Mr. Smith, I understand your frustration. Here's your file. We touched it 387 times. 387 times, and we got to this point, and it's still no. And I'm very sorry. And we just got to give them all the reasons, and thank God we've never had a complaint or never had anything. But there are some times where people get upset, and they have every right to be. But you just got to keep reminding them we are not the bad guy. And I've invested money on your behalf as well, and we tried our damnedest. And our firm is one of the better ones out there. I feel and sometimes you do come up short, and that's where you have the relationships with the attorneys and everybody else you could bring in to take it to that next level if we can't get them there, and it's just those are tough conversations to have, man, because they don't care how many times you called State Farm or emailed State Farm or how many times you went on the roof or how many times you sent an ITEL in. They don't give a shit. All they care about is their fucking check, which that's what they should care about. And the hardest part about this business is we can be dead right. Damage, covered loss, good wind speed, large hail, evident damage, and it's still no. It's still no, right? And we got to drag our attorneys in, and they're like, "Oh my god," right? That's the hardest part to this sometimes. And I got my younger guys struggle with that because right is right, wrong is wrong, right? Well, sometimes right, you ain't getting paid, so it's a thing. It's a thing, dude. So.
It's definitely a thing. And that reminds me of something from many years ago. I was in distribution and I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I had a client that was a pretty large scale client for us. And I remember that they would call in and give me all kinds of grief. And this just triggered this terrible memory in my mind where I got a call one day and I would have my delivery drivers take pictures of everything we drop at the job site. I'd have all this stuff. Well, I had a very large scale client, and they will remain nameless because I think they're still around. I hope. Call me up and say, "Hey, you didn't deliver the felt to our job." And I said, "Okay, well, let me look at the pictures, And my guys sent me the pictures in. The pictures are there, and not only is the felt there, but it's literally a picture of their guys taking it off of the truck by hand. And it's, hey, Tony just unloaded them 15 minutes ago.
Right?
No, he didn't. You didn't bring any felt. If you don't bring us the felt now, then we're going to take our business elsewhere." And it's like, but I literally did. You can call. I don't give a crap what he says. I'm telling you right now, you didn't bring it. And what do you do at that point? It's
deliver the felt.
Yeah, I delivered the felt. And I thought, man, this is a dirty, dirty game, but that's the same thing you guys deal with on a daily basis. It's like, we see that, but we don't see it. And
it's a thing too. A lot. I mean, I've seen appraisers, I've seen some PA firms now getting sued because they didn't do a great job. I've been hired as a consultant actually from the carrier. To be honest with you, I've got a couple carriers that came out and they hired us to be a consultant to see what really happened. And I can honestly tell you, there's been some cases that they didn't perform, and that's shitty, and that's what makes us all look bad. And it's a thing, and that's why you got to, the lack of professionalism in the industry has to be addressed, and it's a problem. And it's not about the easiest part of this business is making money. It really is. If you just do the right thing, have your license, have your bond, read the policy, work through it, get the right reports, you're eventually going to get there. But that's a hard process to get. Some people want to go to A to Z, and you can't. You got to be methodical every time. And people want to, they want to win that race without saddling the damn horse up, and you just can't do it. And it's a rampant, not a rampant problem, but it's a problem, and it's going to have to be addressed because like I said, they're not stupid, man. They know exactly what the deal is. They know exactly what the claim's going to cost them, down to the penny.
Oh yeah.
And we're not fooling anybody, bro. We're really not. So it's frustrating.
That is so true, and it applies on residential and commercial
Oh,
claims.
dude, for sure.
They know, and I tell people that all the time. Just because someone came to your door and said, "Hey, I can get this done for you for whatever the insurance pays. All you have to do is pay your deductible." That's the problem I'm seeing on my side now, is that the people that have the surface payment schedules, that have the 2 or 3% deductibles, that thought they were going to have to pay $500. Well, these 18-year-olds knocked on my door and said they'll do it for whatever. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I owe you an extra $7,000? That's bullshit.
Yep.
I shouldn't have to do that because those guys said it. Hey, not my fault, man. I'm just here to tell you the truth. And I've walked away from several deals because I just couldn't hammer that point home enough. And I encourage them.
They got promised the world, man. They got promised the world, right? It's $500 to get a brand new roof. I'll do that all day. Come on.
Right? Yeah, it's the canned speech. And I tell people our industry is evolving into more of a retail model right now.
Yeah.
The days of getting 100% compensation for your claim they're in the past now. And maybe someday we'll get back to that if things, can get better on our end and we can be more professional and we can stop trying to, and I hate to even say that as a contractor, but it's true. I know guys that tell me that they try to supplement for porta-johns on one-day roof jobs. And it's like, dude, if you'd stop doing that, you'd make it easier for yourself and everybody else. Yes. And, what's a porta-john pay? $300.
Yeah. Stop with the RFG DMO. Stop with the overhead profit every time. Just whatever your number is, your number, man. If it's $36,000, it's 36 grand. Doesn't need to be 46 every time. You can, just make a fair, honest. I think all of us make a fair, like there's PA firms out there charging 33% on a claim sometimes. It's like, no, we're making more. Like we need to be fairly compensated. I get all that, man, but taking a third of that money sometimes on especially a medium or large claim. Oh my God, dude. It's a problem.
Brutal, but it's greed at its finest, and yeah. Again, that small percentage kind of screws it up for everybody.
Well, so exactly.
Looking into the future now, right? We've kind of looked back over the years, looking into the future, 5-10 years down the road. What do you see the insurance portion and the public adjusting portion of our industry evolving into? What kind of things do you see happening that are going to make it either easier or harder for you down the road?
Well, I mean, I think things are getting better, and I think podcasts help. I think Facebook helps. I think people getting out there doing the right thing helps. And I think the older generation of public adjusters is that's all dying out a little bit, and the chest pumping, and then the Corvette, it just that stuff's leaving. I think our industry on our side has been a little more stand-up-ish. I think we're seeing a lot more collaboration, which is important because I want the guys in North Carolina to do well. I want my competition to do well, because the better they do, the better we're going to do, and they will start taking us more seriously. I mean, possibly, there's states that don't even recognize public adjusting. There's Alabama and Arkansas. I can't practice in. I think it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets any better. Every time it gets worse, the good news is all that it cleans out some more garbage, right? It gets rid of the fly-by-nights. It gets rid of the crappy roofers and the door-knocking PAs, and it gets rid of some of that stuff. And you just got to be patient. And, like I tell my guys, I preach our vendors, man. Stop worrying about the insurance company, because it is what it is, man. Unless I have $1 trillion in my bank account, I'm not going to be able to fight them. And I don't know anybody with $1 trillion. I don't. And it is what it is. So if we just do our job every day the right way, we're going to win our little battles and our skirmishes, and hopefully start building some credibility back up. But you got to forget what they're do insurance companies lie and cheat? Probably. Do roofers? Probably. Do PAs? Probably. Do all of them? Hell no. There's some great insurance companies. There are some great independent adjusters. There are some good State Farm adjusters out there. There are some great roofers out there. There are some great PAs out there. That's the stuff we got to concentrate on and work together and collaborate on both sides of the fence and talk about shit. And we're going to talk about all the bad stuff and then weed that out and then put stuff into place that makes sense. So we can watchdog ourselves, man. That if we can self-police ourselves, we're going to be okay. If we can't, insurance companies go, you know what? You're done. You're done.
Game over, folks.
Yeah, game over. Game over.
I hope that we can all get our acts together and we can all work as one and ultimately remember that we're here to serve the policyholders. Those are the clients on both sides. Yep. Those are the people that really rely on the people to do the right thing and to be the good. And you know,
that's it.
All we can do is hope for that and do our part to make it happen. I love that you said podcast because that was my next thing I was going to segue into. I have watched a couple episodes of Pinot by the Pool, and I also know that you've got your own podcast. I want to ask you a little bit about how this came about for you because you're a busy man. You're not like me. I go do my roofing during the day, and then I sit at home and don't do shit the rest of my day. You're a busy guy. You got a lot of stuff going on. So tell me a little bit about the idea of starting a podcast and how you went about making this happen.
So that Pinot thing, I mean, I like drinking. I think everybody knows, if you know, I like drinking a good glass of wine, right? And I enjoy it. And I started drinking Pinot, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. And it became my little niche. And I just started hitting a couple buddies on FaceTime with it, and we started chatting. And next thing you know, I don't even remember how the idea came up. And we just started doing it. And it's literally for everybody. It's roofers and it's contractors and it's IAs and State Farm people. Dude, Steve Badger's been on it he's the leading defense attorney in the country. He's been on the damn thing. And, you know, he'll bring his glass of whiskey and we'll just talk. And it's just what I like about it, dude. It's just, the reason I started doing it is because there's so much garbage on Facebook that people get berated. They would ask a question. Oh, you're a fucking idiot. No, I'm like, how you going to learn if you don't ask questions, man? So we try to create this safe haven of this place to come after work, have a glass of wine, have a beer, have a Diet Coke, whatever, and just talk. And we're all humans. We've all been through the pitfalls of our industry, and we just kind of morphed into it. And, you know, we'll do something. We try to do it once a month, and we'll have 1,000 people on Facebook watching it, man. And it's just cool stuff. And there's literally no, there's no script. There's no dialogue. People roll in and we just start talking about, it's just like this. And people have a problem. We talk about kids and relationships, and we've all been through them and how this business can ruin one. And we just talk through all that stuff. And it's probably my favorite thing I do, honestly. It's just number one. I mean, I have friends all across the country, right? So it's really one of the only times that we can get a trade show, man. You're 1,000 miles an hour, right? You're off stage, on stage, talking. It's one of the few times I can sit with a glass of wine and my kids come on it, right? And it's just, we just talk, and you never know where the night's going to go. And we've been on sometimes 3 hours, just getting a couple of glasses of wine in you to talk about everything. It's been great. And, you know, we do the podcast, and I try to do 5 or 6 of those a year, but man, what's crazy about it. And I give you all the credit in the world. It's exhausting. And it takes a lot of time. You have no idea how much time and evolution it takes to put this thing together. And it's a lot. So we try to do as often as we can. But the Pinot thing, I wish I could do it once a week, but it's just, I don't have time. We try to do at least once a month, and we try to educate and give people just a safe platform to come to talk and get your frustrations out and laugh and understand and just bring topics up to the table that people are afraid to talk about because they're going to get berated on Facebook because they have, you know, they're new. And that's kind of how it all started. And I enjoy living the hell out of it. I really do. It's super fun.
It's so much fun. I've been doing this podcast for 3.5 years now. This is, I think I said episode 196.
That's crazy.
And I haven't missed a week in 196 weeks.
That's insane.
So it's fun, but it is time consuming, and you do have to set aside, blocks of time to be able to do it. And people's schedules are different. I've got another episode that I'm doing in a couple hours at 9 o'clock tonight. I've done them at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and just whatever it takes to make it happen. But it's a lot of fun. And I think really what you're doing is you're providing a ton of value. Like you say, it's hard right now in our industry with,
oh my God,
trying to come in and say, hey, I'm not 100% sure of this. I'd like to ask a question, because it's always the guys down here, the low hanging fruit guys that just eviscerate you and treat you like you're a complete moron. Garbage. You're an idiot. Get out of the industry. If you don't know that answer, you're stupid. And it's like, man, if we could just get together and eliminate that mindset, which is not going to ever happen, because roofing is, as much as I love it, it's got the greatest, but there are also some real shitbags in our industry. And unfortunately, that's never going to go away. There's no licensing in my state. So I tell people, you could go start a roofing company tomorrow, Mrs. Jones, and you could be just as credible as me, and as long as you're here, there's going to be someone looking down on you, someone that's going to be wishing for you to fail. And, for whatever reason, I guess it makes them feel better about themselves. But
yeah, I mean, people are just weird about you. I mean, people do success is great, man. I mean, the better, when my friends succeed and my vendors succeed, I think it's awesome, and people get really weird when they see that. And, we get some haters. I'm not going to kid you. There's some random PAs out there that are not a big fan of Jack Hanks. They think you're showing off and all these big $1 million claims and you're drinking your fancy wine. And I'm like, bro, I work 75 hours a week. I'm exposed for $1.5 million a year in overhead. I bust my ass. Feel
30
free to do the
years
same.
This deal,
Feel free to do the same, and I'll welcome you with open arms, bro. And it's just, you got to put yourself out there. And I've learned to get a little bit more. I mean, I used to take this. I used to get so freaking. I get up. Somebody on Facebook Messenger say something shitty about me, and I'm like, bah, bah, bah. I go right back at them, and I'm like, you know what? I'm good. My kids are great. My company's great. I have a beautiful wife. I'm fine. Hate's gonna hate. I can't please everybody. I'm good. So it takes a while to get there, though, because you do want to fight back quite a bit. You just can't. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. If I had $1 for every time I had something queued up and I'm ready to hit that button, and then I said, you know what? This dude is not even someone that's on my level, and I don't even know who he is. Why do I care so much?
Exactly.
If I could get $1 for every time I've had that happen, I'd be I'd be rich. And, it's never going to end, but being able to control that, being able to be a safe haven for people and an expert that can help them with the right advice and point them in the right direction, it's invaluable. And guys like you are elevating our industry on a daily basis through that mindset. I appreciate you for that. And
thank you.
I try to keep my episodes around an hour. I just looked up and we've been talking for an hour and 7 minutes already. So we're going to start kind of going down the hill a little bit here. I want to ask you this. You are the 2021 SVG Public Adjuster of the Year, which, like I said, if you're gonna dive into a genre, you might as well go get the very best at what what you can. I appreciate you taking the time to sit here and talk with me for an hour and 10 minutes today. Let's just say that somebody here in my audience, and it's a diverse audience. This is not a roofing podcast per se. I did a post the other day where I've had 18 authors, professional wrestlers, hot sauce chefs, morticians, you name it. I've had just about everybody on this show. It's been great, clowns and all kinds of cool stuff. But my core audience is roofers, because I've been in this for 26 years. I'm like you. I made a lot of friends along the way. They like to show support. Let's say that one of my buddies is watching this right now and they want to dive in, but they're scared, and they realize, okay, if I go with Johnny Schmuck over here that doesn't really know what he's doing, Jack just told me that I could basically lose everything. My entire family could disown me. I could become broke. I could be living in a car, whatever, maybe not even in a car because it got repoed. I need a guy like this to help me out. What's the best way that someone can go about working with you? What kind of qualifications do they need? Because again, you're not just taking any jackass off the street. So what needs to be in line and in place for someone to reach out and say, Jack, I want to work with VPA. I know you're the man, and I think you're the guy that can help me, but I don't want to waste your time either. Well, most people don't care if they waste your time, but
we try. So we don't hire. We have 22 people on staff, right? We try to control that growth, and I probably get hit. I mean, I'm not going to kid you. I probably get 25 a week, man. Hey, we want to work for VPA. And here, we're hard to work for because we expect excellence and we demand you bust your ass, and it's a thing. And a lot of I'm pretty proud. We've only had 3 or 4 people leave the last 3 or 4 years. You know, because we look for that certain mindset, and quite honestly, we probably hire less than 5% of the people that want to come aboard, just because it's your brand and your integrity mean everything. At the end of the day, that's the only thing you really have that's tangible, right? So we try to really limit that. And some people just don't get it. Some people, you think you're going to sign a contract with us and make $500,000 tomorrow. Well, that's a long road for that. Um, what we try to do, though, if I find a quality person that we can't put a place into, we have enough connections around the country that we'll try to put them with somebody we trust, and they get it, and we know it's going to be safe for them, because like you said, it's once a week. So and so didn't get paid. So and so didn't sign a contract and did all this work and never got paid. Number one, have a contract with who you're working with. I don't care. I have an employment contract and I own the company, but I still have
you're
an
your own
employment contract.
boss, and you're
That's
making
how it
sure that you
works.
keep yourself in
Yes.
check.
So, we try to find people a good spot that makes sense. We get hit up by a lot of people that I wouldn't want to be associated with. So we very graciously pass them along, hey, thank you, but we're good. But if we can't find a place for you, which we probably don't have many places for a lot of people, we'll try to find a place that's safe, that I know that they're going to get, number one, get paid, and number two, get the quality, quote unquote, education they need to be the next level stuff. And there's not a lot of those places around, but we really try to make that fit. Always be with that person, because, man, there's nothing worse than getting going, and we see it every day. I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid. And it sucks. So we try to, find safe haven. That's why the Pinot thing is so cool, because I bet I know 150 great public adjusters out there, and inevitably somebody's looking for somebody. So we'll try to connect them with who makes sense for them. So.
Yep, that's a noble way of going about it and elevating the industry. Like I said, making sure that people can be taken care of, and people that have it for the right reasons can ultimately work themselves up to where they're capable to be on that level, and then maybe get consideration down the road. Jack, I got to say this, my friend. This has been an absolute blast. I've enjoyed our conversation tremendously.
Right on.
Question for you. I'm sure you will be, because you're at all the major events, but we've got IRE coming up here in San Antonio in about 2 months. You going to be down here for that?
I'll probably be in for a day. We made a decision a couple of years ago to quit buying booze so much. We were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on booze, and you get stuck behind there. So I do better rolling in, getting off the plane, and just rolling through these things. So I'll be at IRE. I'm going to be at SRC Summit, April Hall's events. I'll be at SVG in August in Dallas. We try to hit 3 or 4 a year, and it works for us. But man, IRE's a blast. It's the who's who of roofing. And where's it down to? Where's it at for you guys?
It's San Antonio at the Henry B. Gonzalez Center there.
Oh, great.
I think they had it in 2011. There was the last
Sounds
time.
about right. Yeah.
And I was here for that one. Reason for my question is, I'm going to run into you somewhere during that one day that you're here. We're going to get a selfie together. I'm going to add that to my collection, get a handshake. Right. And I appreciate all the information you've given today. I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll do it again sometime down the road for sure. Next time you got Pinot on the pool going on, I'm gonna see if I can't get myself involved in that too. So thank you so much. Yeah, and to everybody who watches, one thing I forgot to do, I got to thank my sponsor, Roofer. Roofer is my sponsor for the last 2 years. We're hopefully going to be re-upped by the time this is aired in a couple weeks.
We use them a ton, by the way. They're great. We use them 80 times a day. So
one of the best in the industry. I've been a fan since the very early days, and the relationship I've been able to build with those guys has been great. They support me 100%, and it's vice versa with me as well. I love those guys, and I appreciate everything they do for the podcast. So Roofer, thank you guys for everything you do. All the fans, I always joke and say this is going to be seen by millions of people. My main goal is to overtake Joe Rogan as the top podcast in the world. And
amen, right?
he got a little bit of a jump there because he got the president on there a couple weeks ago with his 50 billion views. But
yeah,
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Jack Hanks just gets me 51 million and we end up taking over that top spot down the road.
Know,
so we'll probably both be long gone. It'll be hundreds of years from now, but we're going to hit 51 million views. And I appreciate you being here to help me with that. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, like I always end, the corniest tagline of them all, keep on keeping it Rio. We'll see you guys next week.